Welcome to Alive on One, a miniatures podcast and other things. Terrible intro, but I'm here today with Ben. How's it going, Ben?
Hey, that's me. It's going really good. It's one of the first warm days here in the North Country. It's like in the high 60s.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's not snowing like it did last week. So, that's cool.
Nice. Yeah, it's 70 where I'm at about, and it is quite beautiful. So, another beautiful thing is we are doing. This will be the second entry in words are hard. This will be the second entry in our kind of Play Something Different series, where we talk about games that we're interested in and might, or probably we'll do more episodes on, but this is just kind of like a general starter guide. So I even wrote out a huge structure for each of these episodes so that we touch on everything to like help you, our listeners, kind of like get to know the game, maybe explain why you should play it, and then just things to get started if you are interested. So tonight we're talking about a game that was introduced to me by our friend Ben here. So you want to I don't know. We're talking about Bushido.
It's bury the lead. Yeah, just bury the lead.
Well, it's in the title, to be fair. So if you clicked on it, you kind of know. So Ben, my first question I have here, actually, since this is sort of an interview thing, because you've been playing it or played it a lot longer than I have. So why do you play this game, and kind of like what makes it different from other miniatures games, and why do you kind of love it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I've been playing Bushido on and off for close to maybe 7-8 years. It is a skirmish based game, which I just love. Low model count gets me really excited because I can play several different factions and scratch that itch, in some neat ways. It is also one of my favorite settings of a medieval Japanese inspired mythology, inspired setting of the Jawar Islands. And so the several factions that we will talk about a little bit later all have different themes that are moving through different kind of tropes through Eastern mythos. That's really cool, and I really like it, and it jazzes me up. So, I've been playing this game, like I said, for about 7-8 years, and it is also one of the most complex games that I've played through the years, and I find it quite rewarding to figure out some of its complexity. And sometimes, you play a game and you accidentally stumble on something that's really, really good. And
that doesn't happen ever.
Well, you would know nothing about that. Yeah. But yeah, it's a great game, and I'm really glad to be on the cast to be talking about it.
Yeah, and Ben and I do. So for our listeners out there, I don't know. There's very few games I play and then bite the bullet immediately. And so Ben and I come from MCP primarily these days, and as much as I love MCP's kind of simplified structure, and it's one of the it is really a good perk of the game is it's so simple from your first game to your most recent game. You make progressions, but the core rule set's very simple. However, I am someone who comes from, complicated, the heydays of 7th edition, 40K, Horus Heresy, these days, old world, even to some extent, where there's so much depth and complication that it scratches a totally different itch, right? And so I remember you just walked me through. We didn't even put any models on the board. You walked me through some of the character cards and how the mechanics work, and we'll get into that. But immediately I bought a bunch of models.
So. Yeah. We got them already without a full demo game. It's the mechanics of this game I think are pretty unique. I have not seen another game that does similar things, and especially how combat is determined. I really try, when I am playing different games, I want them to do different things. Right? And if I just play the same, style of game, but it's in a different setting, that kind of gets boring to me pretty quickly. So in my skirmish games, I really want them to do different things, play different ways. It also engages my brain. It allows me to try to think a little bit more critically. And it also is a profound way to make rules mistakes, right? Which is great.
And I think Bushido too, I mean, you and I have played, I think we can say we're veterans of gaming at this point. Both of us in different
We are old.
ways.
Yes, we play a lot of games.
And this one definitely, like, having played a lot of games, like, and I'm just getting into Bushido, for our listeners, like, but like every time I play, or even when I'm list building, it's like the things that you can do and kind of the combos you unlock become vastly, vastly interesting. And every army, like, and I've always kind of thought this about like rules bloat. Like, there's a reason why 40K armies feel so unique, like, say what you will about Warhammer 40,000. I hate that I keep bringing this up in all these episodes, but it's a good, like, it's a good game. Everyone knows what it is, and you kind of know how it works. So it's a good reference game. But, all the armies, like, you play, I don't know, Tyranids, right? And they feel like Tyranids, like, really, really in-depthly, even down to, like, the smaller grunts, feel like, Tyranids. The bigger monsters feel like big monsters. And there's just so variety in, like, unit types and rules types that, like, you get a lot more, like, army thematics than you can in, like, a game like MCP. Simplified rule sets are great. I'm not saying they're bad, but faction identity comes from, like, a small change in a rule,
Well, I think, like the affiliation battle format for MCP kind of helps with that sense of identity. But those types of games that allow you to splash or bring other types of out of affiliation, out of character things, sometimes it's hard to kind of keep that in brain canon outside of what you're seeing on the table. There was a time in 40K and also in Warhammer Fantasy where you saw a little bit more commonality of alliances, right? So you would see a little bit more mix mashing, but they have definitely leaned heavily, and what I like and what I prefer to my games, of a more thematic style of army compositions, right? We want, the what was it Matt Ward? I think, the Matt Ward Necrons, Blood Angels, Fist Throw, thing. Like, that's like interesting, but to see that on the table kind of sometimes
feels wrong.
Yeah, feels wrong, a little off-putting compared to, two opposing armies, going to battle, and that kind of headcanon is a little different. Bushido has some of that. One of the things that we'll talk about is, some of the mercenary mechanic, but even then I still find that they synergize really well and kind of keep on theme.
And I think kind of part of where I was going to a little bit was like, sometimes, and because I'm trying to, this episode, we're trying to get you interested in this, and the rules bloat is scary. I'm not going to lie. The keyword system is a little daunting. Even now to this day, I'll have to, like, look up things, what I mean, I'm constantly looking up things right now because I'm learning the game, but, it's daunting. And in order to get over that, I do think, like, one of the cool benefits is because there's so many, like, keywords and rules and how they interact with each other, you do get, like, a ton of flavor, like, thematically. And it's rewarding because, like, much like a fighting game, when you're starting to figure out these combos, you're like, oh, I press X here, Y there, move a couple steps back, and then, like, spiders.
Spiders, yeah. It is. I think that's probably one of the better ways to put it, and to again emphasize the rules bloat in this game is real. You are going to have, I think the most models I've seen in a warband is like 12, 12, 13, and that's for some of the horde factions or horde themes. But generally, you're going to kind of sit around normal games around 100 rice, and you're going to see somewhere between 5 to 8 models. But some of these models can have lots of rules, lots of layers. There are commonalities that once you start to kind of figure it out, I mean, they're the same across different models. So if you know what armor does, if you know what Oni Rage does, every model, when you play the Oni faction, you'll figure out what Oni Rage does, and you don't even have to think about it anymore.
Well, some of us still do, but
it's with all things, right? As the more you play it, and then you can kind of see, and I really like that imagery of that fighting game comparison of, I've figured out the combo, and this is a really neat interaction. So I think, yes, it's intimidating. I find if you give it a shot, right, especially maybe at some of those lower rice values, those lower point value games, you ease your way into it. It's really worth it on the other side.
Yeah, and coming from like a really, really recent player, too, there's always I know there's always something to learn in games, but like the research aspect of this game definitely is appealing. So I guess like our next question is like, who's this game not for? And in all honesty, if you really, really don't like rules bloat and you are like kind of, I don't know, abhorred by the fact that like after a game, like you spend a lot of time thinking about your list and thinking about how things work, then yeah, maybe this is not for you. But I think if you are at all, in any way, shape, or form, kind of really interested in like, spending time outside of like when you're playing on the tabletop, like kind of looking into like combos and how your lists work and like flipping through your rule book, looking at character cards, because there's this game. This is like one of those games, when you told me about this, I was like, oh, I've never heard of it. And then you look at their model line and you're like, how do they have so many models?
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who plays this, It's been around for a long time at this point. So I guess like in terms of like who this is not for, if that really does honestly like stop you from playing games, then this is definitely not a game for you. But if you are someone who like likes that kind of like rewarding research aspect of turn zero, I think this is absolutely, it's still the same miniature mechanics, right? Like Ben played into me yesterday with something and both him and I identified like that seems really strong, So,
yeah.
But go ahead.
It's really I think if you're someone that's probably not interested in comboing interactions, this game might be a little bit more difficult for you to like really heavily invest in, because sometimes there are just really strong combos that are pretty cool. Also, be saying if the setting is not appealing for you, I don't think, as much as I love the gameplay, if the setting isn't something that's going to catch you and keep you for a while, you're going to struggle to keep enjoyment in the game, I think. So,
and Ben, on that note too, walk us through this world, because I know if there's anyone that I know loves this game in the setting for the setting reasons, it's you. Although I only really know you who loves the game so far.
Out of the two people that that play this game, I do really love the settings. So I've been playing back since the first edition, when the rule book was like pretty big, and it has a really cool map of the Jawar Islands. You're gonna catch a lot of similarities of feudal Japan. So anyone that's familiar with the Sengoku Jidai period in Japan, a time of roaming samurai war bands and clans fighting against each other for dominance over Japan, you're going to find a lot of similarities with that, with the Jawar Islands, where there are several clans and other factions that are trying to vie for control over an empire that is crumbling a little bit. The game started, I remember when the game started, we find ourselves with the main faction of the prefecture of Ryu, having recently ousted the Shiho clan, who were the longtime rulers of the Jawar Islands. And so you are the main, common guys, the ultramarines of the setting. They are the usurpers, and they're trying to bring back stability to some chaos that has happened. Now, several years in, the Shiho clan have come back. The ousted daimyo of that family has returned with vengeance, and has been gathering his supporters to overthrow the prefecture of Ryu, the Dragon Clan, and other cool, mysterious things have been going on. The Ito clan, which are the snake worshippers, have been blessed by this mysterious snake god, so much so that it is actually changing their people and morphing them into half people, half snake. And they have some really cool poison mechanics. One of the other new factions that have just come out, will be out in August, I believe, is the Horse Lords of Aratka, which are very much your Mongolian-based faction, which is really kind of cool. You have another new new faction that has been awaking from the underground, called the Awoken, where a spider deity has been sneaking in, possessing people and converting them into spiders. And they're really, really creepy looking. If you don't like spiders, if you have arachnophobia, or know somebody that does, buy them models from that range and spook them a whole bunch. They're
Alternatively, don't do that.
Or don't do that if you value that relationship. Yeah, or don't do that. They're just to kind of go through the other factions like super quickly. You have the cult of Yuri. Yuri is this ghost yokai, ghost spirit, who possesses people, and the dead don't fully stay dead. So this is more of your undead, spooky, if you like anything that's kind of in the Eastern mythology that's undead and spooky. The cult of Yuri is for you. You have, like I said, the plain Jane. If you want to be the stereotypical samurai warriors who have some early flintlock, weapons, and the occasional dragon spirit, the prefecture of Ryu or Ryu is for you. If you like goblins, if you like a horde faction of goblins or big giant oni, the Savage Wave is for you, as the Jawar Islands have found ways to summon demons into the world. And if you're like, hey, what if we could just have peace and harmony? And also, if you really like Kung Fu Panda, the Temple of Rokan is for you. There is a master monk, a part of that faction, whose name is Master Po. He is unfortunately not the panda of that faction. There is a Kung Fu Panda in that faction, though his name is not Master Po, which makes me really sad. Anyways, then one of my other favorite factions that I play is the Jung Pirates. They are less Japanese mythos, but some of the other surrounding cultures that kind of all intermingled, and so they're influenced by a different kind of mythology, which is one of the things I love. So they're pirates. They have ocean monsters and creatures, and a lake water Shugenja, who is like just wet just wet, and uses water magic, which is really, really neat. The other faction that I play a whole bunch is called the Dissension of Tengu. A bunch of bird samurai. What if you were like really like tweeting people and you like tweets? If you remember before the days of X, you're like tweet, but with cool samurai stuff. That's the Dissension of Tengu. If you like the underboss, the underbelly of Japanese culture and what's the famous video game that I'm now blanking on?
I don't know. I'm just thinking Yakuza.
Yeah, that one, the Yakuza. Yeah, that one. That's the Silver Moon Trade Syndicate. And they have some other themes. We recently played where I was a theme of a bunch of kabuki actors, and which is just really fun and nonsensical and super cool. And then you have the Minamoto clan, which is the bear clan, where they prefer to fight one-on-one fights with giant tetsubos, which are war clubs, and they have bears as a part of their faction, which is super cool. Also, for everyone who has been joyfully waiting, yes, there is a ninja faction that Stephen
like
may have.
Thing.
Yeah, that Stephen has probably all of the models for already.
A lot of them, correct.
A lot of them, maybe not all of them, but a fair bunch of them. There is a ninja faction that has different types of ways that you can run them that are super cool. The last faction that has just come out as of this last month is the Imperial Court. So the Imperial Court is the court of a surrounding nation whose name I forget off the top of my head, that are trying to bring back order to the Drawar Islands and the Emperor of the Golden Legion. So if you like the terracotta warriors, you could actually run a faction that has terracotta warriors, a bunch of clay people. They're really freaking cool. So I think I've covered all the factions. Nope. I know there's a bunch.
You've missed one. The other one.
Oh, I did miss one. I missed your other one. Yeah, the one that I don't like that much. The Kinshi Temple. So if you like edgelord monks,
okay, let me do a better service here. If you ever listen to like hardcore music or Panic at the Disco, or you're an emo kid at heart, the Kinshi Temple are pretty appealing.
Yeah, yeah. If you have piercings and like dark clothes, the Kinshi Temple is for you. They do void stuff. So yeah, they're pretty cool.
They're dark priests, basically.
They're dark priests. Yep.
Yeah.
And then
sorry.
And then last but certainly not least, you have the mercenary faction, which are the Ronin, which compile a lot of mix and match of different characters.
Yeah. And so generally speaking too, so Ben zoomed in, I'll zoom a little out. You have this kind of feudal based game, with a lot of fantastical elements. It's high fantasy, I think, set in kind of like an Eastern culture, kind of mirroring a lot of Japan, but there's other Eastern elements involved in a lot of these things. So, but like, as Ben said too, literally some of these factions, like you have undead, you have classic fantasy tropes. You have undead, I guess, snake people, if you consider that classic fantasy.
Yeah.
Then like underwater crab, whale. I don't think they have a whale yet, but crab, octopus type stuff.
Sharks.
Like that. Sharks. Yep. Oh, right. Yeah. Ben's wife loves the sharks.
Yep.
And then you have bears, dragons, bats. The ninja have access to a bat, who's also technically a Ronin, but you have other animals, as we mentioned, like tigers, cats, things like that. Goblins, demons, spiders, birds. So like it's got it all. Horses. Well, that's people on horses, but
people on horses. Yeah, people on horses. Yeah.
But it's a really, so as a newer person to this, right now, if you're interested in this game at all and you followed us 25 minutes in, go to the website and like look at the model line. The website's not the best. This is an indie game, so like it's a little harder to navigate, but there's so much stuff. Like when you first told me about this game, I was like, oh yeah, it's just some weird game Ben plays. You know what I mean? Like,
they have like 10 models.
Yeah. And you go there and you're like, oh wow. Like some of these affiliations have like 40 plus individual characters, which also caveat here too for gameplay. It is a little bit overwhelming when you're just starting this because you're like, oh my Lord, where do I even begin? You know?
Yeah. And the website is gctstudios.com.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And you can also Google another way I got there, because Bushido, if you didn't know this at all, is like the warrior's code of the samurai from feudal Japan. That's what Bushido like references. But if you Google Bushido game or tabletop game, you can find the website as well. So, yeah. So I think we did kind of like the getting, not the technical stuff you need to do to get started, but some of the lore, the setting. And one note I am surprised that you kind of left out on your own is that this, because this is something that you love about games, this the lore in the setting is very, very much influenced by player behavior.
Oh yeah, I did leave that out. Yep.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about miniature games and companies is they have these grand tournaments where they're called the master tournaments, and whoever wins those masters tournaments helps write new characters and new lores, and kind of continues to advance the story. So if I'm remembering correctly, one of the results of a masters tournament was an Ito player winning and asked the question of the developers, hey, is there a way that we can bring back the original rulers of the Jawar Islands? And that was supposedly kind of the starting conversation of bringing the Shiho clan back and creating a whole new line of miniatures. Was a player saying, hey, is this possible? Can we look at that as a result of, I think the finals, if I'm remembering correctly, years ago, was the Ito versus the prefecture of Ryu, and the Ito clan winning. So who knows if the prefecture player would have won, and the story could have been different. We maybe don't have the Shiho clan. So
it makes me want to get really good so I can get more dragons in this game.
yeah. We're just like, how do I bring more dragons? Yeah.
I play the game a lot.
Yeah.
Cool. So really, really cool setting. Also, I'll link it below in the description. There is a GCT Studios actually like manifested, or not manifested. They created a Discord and it's owned by them, right? So you can join that below. I'll send a link. And that has kind of like everything you need to know about Bushido. They do run like TTS tournaments, and I think we'll get into that at some point, like how to play and things like that, because this is a niche game. Well, you can talk to us too. Like both Ben and I are kind of getting, well, Ben back in, I'm getting in. So
yeah.
But yeah, in terms of community, we'll talk about that too later, but I just want to mention there is a Discord, which I'll link below. So all right, let's move on to some gameplay. So some of these I'm just going to answer real quick and we can check them off. This is a skirmish game, so low model count. As Ben mentioned before, we've got like, at most 11, but on average between 5 and 8 models on the table. You play on a 2x2 mat, so it's really tiny, very portable, very easy to set up. Although I don't know how you get a 2x2 mat, because I don't think they offer them on the website.
They do not. They don't offer the mats on the website. I know that there are other gaming systems that do have 2x2s. I know I've gone to some of the stores that have MCP mats. Will also sell kind of plain Jane 2x2s, or just take a 4x4, which is an MCP mat, if you like MCP, and just cut that bad boy in half, or not actually cut it, but play half of it, and you're good to go.
So a website, after a quick Google, there's a place called Dwarven Forge that makes 24x24 mats in different layouts. So go there too. Just randomly plugging in a place that I just found on the internet. But yeah, so You can find them. You kind of have to order them online or go to your LGS. But it's very small, very portable, and kind of easy enough, right? So, all right. Kind of the big thing here, kind of a big question for this game is, Ben, walk us through as simply as you can the turn zero, creating your list, how list synergies work, upgrades, and then maybe some practical issues too. I guess like with list building. Okay, ignore the practical issues. I just meant like, so you play on a points based system. It's 100 rice. It's actually pretty easy, but walk us through the turn zero, please.
Yeah. So turn zero, obviously you come to an event or gaming night, agreeing with your opponent on the points value of the game. The most common way to play is to play at 100 rice. At tournaments, the expectation is that you bring two 100 rice lists so that you can choose which list that you bring to a game. So when you are building your list, the first thing that you do is you select your faction. We've named all of the factions that are currently in the game. And right out of the gate, you'll be faced with, as Stephen was saying, there's lots of characters. Some of these older, been around since the first edition of the game, factions have a lot of models. And you may not know where to start. One of the things I love about this game is that they try to help you by creating themes. So you can choose a theme for your faction. Theme is kind of like choosing a leader in Marvel Crisis Protocol that's going to give you some inherent synergies if you restrict yourself to using a certain amount of models or a certain type of models. So, for example, one of my favorite themes for the prefecture of Ryu is the blood of the dragon. And if you choose this theme, it'll tell you all of its benefits, but on the caveat that it will exclude some type of models and only allow you to choose another type of a model. So for the blood of the dragon theme, you are allowed only to choose samurai, ronin kami, shugenja, or other types of ronin called ronin shihensen na gohei, which is another type of ronin. These are all going to be keywords on characters. So understanding keywords and looking at characters and what they have is a big part of that. As you continue to build your list and choose some of your characters, there's a rice value that is on each and every one of them. You can, while you're list building, then add different attachments or enhancements that this game is called. Some are giving them a different weapon. Those who are familiar with Japanese mythology and really like samurai culture, the Masamune blade, which is an evil cursed blade, is in the game. And you can destroy yourself if you use it, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite things about this game, is kind of the shout outs to that. Then there are, again, to share some comparisons with Marvel Crisis Protocol, there are cards that you can buy that are events. Think of them like tactic cards. Some are responses to what your opponent is doing. Others will give you new keywords or new advantages to either start or move and flex during the game. They'll cost different point values or rice values. And last, but certainly not least, one of the things that's a newer addition to the game is that you can purchase terrain. And some of these terrain features can hurt your opponent or help you. Or if we're like Stephen, who experienced yesterday the joyful experience of walking into spider eggs.
It's so much fun.
It's so much fun. So there's lots of things that you could do in list building. And there is synergies that you can find and experience as you're going through that. But I think, Stephen, as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot. The best thing that I encourage you to do is there is a Bushido companion app that you can get on your phones. This is often what I do when I'm just kind of sitting around waiting for something. I will jump on the Bushido app and just kind of thumb through and read characters or event cards or other things, just so I can try to take in all of the information, because there is a whole bunch. I think that's probably as comprehensive or easy as I can make it without actually going straight into it.
No, that was great. So you buy like either basically like an event card which like does a certain thing once usually, or you buy an upgrade for like extra equipment for a character, or you buy like terrain. That's kind of like the gist, I guess, in a nutshell. And they're all points costed, right? Some factions like more, some like less. But yeah, when you're kind of also another, I guess, tip. So there's a couple. Well, so the website itself, the GCT Studios website, actually has a section called community, and in that community section, they have links to like list building apps. They have links to the Discord we mentioned. They have links to like all kinds of resources, some YouTube stuff, some battle reports, some other podcasts that kind of talk about this game. And so that's a really invaluable resource, I think. When I first started getting in and found that part of the website, I was like, oh, okay, because there's some great, like, there's a list building app. Unfortunately, it's not an app. It's like a web page list builder. But comboing that with the Bushido app, like you can I know it's kind of a pain in the butt to have to scroll between two things, but that also has all the character cards on it, all the rules. It's not laid out as simply as I would like it, but is a helpful tool to kind of start list building. I would also encourage you to start if you're interested in the game, just like look at. I mean, I know this is true for most games, but like before you even get into the mechanics, be like, all right, what are some like 3 or 4 models I really, really like,
Yeah.
And make sure they have the same keyword actually before you buy them, because that will be important. In
that does help. That does help.
But in general, you pick your affiliation, you pick like 3 or 4 models with the same keyword, and then like you can kind of go from there and kind of like learn their rice values and things like that very slowly, because it can be overwhelming. So just take it one step at a time, right? Like first, what looks cool? Second, what characters look even cooler? And third, how much points do they cost? So.
The rule of cool is definitely a thing, right? I think that's just my generic. If you are getting into a new game, look at what's cool. If you're going to just look down in the board and say, man, that looks awesome. I don't know if any of our listeners are big Kurosawa fans. He is a director from the, I think, early 1900s in some Japanese samurai films, black and white stuff that are really cool, really epic. I have seen people paint their models like they're in a Kurosawa film, and it's super freaking cool. It's super cool. So yeah, the rule of cool is a big important thing.
Yeah, no, I kind of want to mention that because like one of the things that I think we're also trying to do in this episode is like, if you are interested in this game, don't be overwhelmed, because it can be overwhelming. Because this is probably like one of the, they do those lists about like best movies you've never seen. Yeah. This is kind of like one of the best miniatures games you've never heard of, right?
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree.
But okay, so back to our kind of outline. I guess on this note too, I did want to ask you, and we've kind of talked about this with our practice games. What do you think are some of the most beginner-friendly factions you can start for this game?
Yeah, that's a great question. I am very much convinced that the prefecture of Ryu is probably the most beginner-friendly faction in the game. They are kind of the most plain Jane, minus the cool dragons, but they're very the stereotypical, having Ashugaru, peasant warriors, guys with guns, and samurai. They have strategists and the occasional dragon. So they're really cool, but they're in their simplicity. They have some uniqueness, but I think they're the easiest to tackle. I think then the next would actually be the Cult of Uri. They have some neat, fun mechanics that are not overwhelmingly complex.
And that's the undead.
That is the undead faction. Yeah, the undead faction. The other factions start to kind of scale up with different complexities. The Jung Pirates kind of do things a little bit differently. Maybe the Temple of Rokan would probably be the next, the third easiest faction to start with. But
or if you're like me, you can just be like, screw whatever Ben says, start ninjas and the complicated dark monks.
Yeah, so as I was giving Stephen the grand tour of all the factions and talking a little bit more in depth, and asking him what models does he think looks cool, because I think that's a good way to start. Of course, he picks out the ninjas and the shadow monks, and I was like, okay, I agree that the models look really cool. Heads up, these are probably two of the most complicated factions in the game.
Yep. Learn that the hard way.
To the point of like, I barely know how the Kinsai temple works and functions. And he was like, yo, what if I buy both of them? I was like, okay, we'll have to learn together. Woo!
Yeah. The funny thing is too, as we started playing more, I was like, all right, I need a simpler faction before I dive into these guys.
Yeah.
But the goal being to get there. So it just takes time, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So we kind of walked through some of that. So let's look at missions first. So what do the missions in kind of the book like feel like, play like? Like I think you summarized this pretty well for me, because there's like two types basically.
Yeah. So there are two types of missions in the game, and in your core rulebook, you'll get a couple of examples. I'm actually just making sure I say correctly that there are 5 missions. Five missions, including the demo mission. So there are two types. One is a take and hold, area secure, very similar to if you've played 40K. If you stand in this circle, every alternate turn, whoever has the most rice value of characters in the turn scores that point. So it's just kind of stand in a spot, fight people over the spot. And that's pretty neat. Then you have
Ben, just one correction too, actually, because I have the newer rulebook.
Oh yeah, you do.
It's only 3 missions in the new one.
Well, my older rulebook is cooler than yours then.
Well, it's probably bigger. This one's really condensed. So.
Yeah. But
anyways.
there are easily accessible tournament packs that actually have like 8 missions,
and you can download them online too.
Them. Yep. So, and it's actually on the app too. It's on the app, the companion app. So you can see all of those. The other type of mission is, if you're familiar with Marvel Crisis Protocol, it is a pay to flip mission where there are statues or some sort of thing you need to interact with and flip it toward your side. Then whoever has the most of these idols that are flipped in your direction at the alternating turns will score points. So then the third type of mission is a combination of both of those in the same mission. So sometimes there's a central location where you need to stand and hold with 2 idols that you have, your friendly idol and then the enemy idol that you can flip and get different point values for holding those.
Yeah. In terms of skirmish games, honestly, one of the easier, if you've played another skirmish game, especially MCP, one of the easier things to grasp is the way the missions work. So
yes, I would agree.
Yeah, so that's actually really nice. So.
Yeah, there are different scoring conventions, different ways to score. based on some characters that you bring or events that you bring. Very famously, the Cult of Uri, the undead faction, has a card that says for every one of their models that die in that turn, they get scenario points. And how this game works in terms of how do you win the game. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit on our thing of how to,
you got it.
How to win the game is you can there's a maximum of 3 victory points available to the players. Based off of the mission, you will occur scenario points on alternating rounds. So, for example, you do not score on round 1. You do score on round 2. You don't score on round 3. You score on round 4, so on and so forth. Whoever has the most scenario points in a scoring round will earn 1 victory point. By the end of the 3rd opportunity of scoring, it should be either 3-0, 2-1, or some combination of that. And that's how you win. So I showed a game, or I think, Steve, maybe you showed me this one, where an undead player played a card where he gained scenario points for every model of his that was killed during that turn. He was able to then, because a lot of his models died that turn, was able to score 1 victory point that round.
Yeah, I think it's helpful too. It's like tennis, right? You have like match points and then whatever the hell they're called. I don't know tennis well, but I know they score like that. Yeah. So you have like match points where you play a series of things and gain a certain amount of points. You play a series of rounds, and then you gain like 1 overall, set point or whatever they call it. So you play a turn, right, where you're scoring scenario points, and like you can get pretty high on those actually, like because the undead guy that we use like got like 6 just from dying, right?
Just from dying. Good job, man. Dude, you did it. You did the thing.
You died.
You died.
So and then you score 1 total, right? So and it's best out of 3. So
yes.
And there's only 3 scoring opportunities, but there's like 6 game turns, right? So that's kind of how. So you set up for the scoring turn, and a lot of like when you're playing the mission, you're kind of like thinking like, how do I set up for the next scoring turn, right?
Yeah. It's I think that's a really cool and different way that this skirmish game plays compared to some other skirmish games that we play that scoring's every turn or very hyper specific scoring conventions like Kill Team. Right, Kill Team has like hyper specific scoring mechanics. I really like the uniqueness of the different ways to score, and that there are some rounds that you just don't score, so you got to kind of set up and prepare for that.
Yeah, they're this really cool. I know we haven't really done this a ton in our own play experience, but I'm already noticing from practice games, there's like this really cool kind of like you set up and then for like a specific turn, so you can actually like utilize a lot of running away mechanics or like repositioning your models rather than like attacking. Mm-hmm. Because you're not scoring that turn, so you're trying to have the most advantageous following turn, and I really like that kind of like back and forth because it's usually it's every other round. So you're like, okay, turn 1, and that doesn't make it boring, I will say, because you're setting up, so you're like all those like complicated rules on all those character cards, like you're taking advantage, you're setting up your combo, you're doing the like kind of sidestep in that fighting game where you're like, all right, I'm about to hit this like punch. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a lot of maneuvering but like you still have the, I go, you go alternating activation. So in terms of like miniatures games, so you're also kind of like not only setting up your own stuff, but kind of playing the counter game with where your opponent's moving their models. So it's a really interesting dance every other round,
Yeah. And I'm really glad that you brought up, the turn order. I really appreciate, and I am now convinced, the proper way to play any miniature game is the you go, I go, alternating actions, right? I go.
It's not controversial at all, Ben.
Yeah, right. I'm going to say it. It's right here. You do all of the things. I think we were laughing a little bit the other day of like someone's movement phase it alone is just like, I guess I'm going to go get a coffee from across the street. I'll be back,
It
and
doesn't take that long in age.
but there are games where it's like, so it can be kind of pretty disengaging for the other player.
Yes,
I find in this game especially, but also in games that have the alternating you go, I go, you go, I go, you're hyper engaged, right? I'm right there. I'm paying attention. I see what my opponent's doing. I need to know what I'm doing right next. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah. No. And on a more like weirdly meditative note, games that engage you like that tend to keep you really present.
Yes.
If you do that healthily, they can be a really great. It's a whole other topic, but I know Ben and I are both like relatively spiritual people, so that presentness is like super. It takes you away from your life, and like it nourishes you or enriches your understanding of existence, I guess, in like a totally different way. Sorry, I got really.
I appreciate you saying that. It's the holistic sense of being fully present while trying to just kind of catch your breath from the real world, right? And having fun playing with toy games, right? If you're more engaged in that, it really helps you, focus in and kind of just release some of your worries for a little while.
Yeah,
so it's a cool thing.
Yeah, it's like a healthy way to approach kind of some, and like I think what you brought up too, like the scale of this has gotten philosophical, but the scale of like more or less engaging, right, is actually kind of important if you're like looking for a game that like really like sucks you in and immerses you, right? So so I think that's important to call out that the alternating activations tend to do that more successfully. So
I agree.
All right, but let me just take a quick breath. So let's walk through, and I don't know enough about this game yet I know a little bit to say some stuff, but what are some, you've played so many games, Ben, way more than I have, so let's use your perspective here. What are some really cool and unique game mechanics that like Bushido presents to its players?
My favorite thing about Bushido is how they deal with a very immersive, simultaneous melee system. I think that's one of the coolest things about this game is that when you get into melee combat with someone, you not to walk through the whole thing, but you determine a die pool. There's different stances that allow you to do different things. There are this game calls it key feats, but it's similar to MCP's powers system. So you can spend your key to do a different thing that says, no, actually, I'll be able to kind of strike you at a different timing window, or I'll be able to dodge out of the way, or use a different stance, or hit you harder. But on a normal plain Jane, without all of the different interactions, you are striking each other simultaneously, and it's meant to simulate that when two people are fighting in melee, it's not just one person attack, one person block, right? It's we are both actively trying to kill each other. And so there are going to be moments where I'm on the aggression and then, now I need to defend myself. So it tires both opponents out. One of the mechanics is that every character effectively gets to take has different stages. Either they're tired or they're exhausted. So you're neutral, tired, or exhausted. 3 stages. When you're fighting, it will tire both opponents out. And so one of the cool things about the Horde factions that we've talked about it briefly is they're not some of the greatest martial arts or sword wielders in the game. They will just tire you out by throwing endless bodies at you. The Savage Wave have a theme where it's a bakemono, a little goblin swarm. So you could take a list of master samurai who have some of the best martial skills and all of the different key feats that are really strong, and swarm swarm them to death with 12 goblins.
And they always have to charge, which is kind of funny.
And they always
but anyways,
it's just it's a neat way to express a fluid combat that I think not many miniature games in general kind of bring me into the like, oh wow, like no, we're actively, this is fighting, and we're both trying to do it at the same time. I think that's really cool.
It is very cool. And so there's a lot of like I don't want to call it, I guess, like, for lack of a better term, there's a lot of secrecy in this game. Like, you hide information from your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
The combat phase being, one of those major instances where, you kind of like, you pick your pool of dice and you allocate to attack or defense while your opponent's doing the same thing, and then roll all at once. And I know you kind of said that, but in addition to that, like, you're hiding that, right? Like, you're like, this is my dice pool. You have no idea how I'm going to allocate this, right? So you have to, like, always...
Stance? Yeah, right. Like, you can know what stances are available to your opponent, but maybe I think, Steven's going to go more defensive. And Steven actually goes, oh, no, actually, I'm going to try to attack you first, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's just... there's so many nuances of how they deal with melee combat. And I think as someone who loves, feudal Japan and samurai, films and games, that genuinely excites me. That's what you want out of a game like this, right? Is you want the melee combat to be its shining star. At least that's what I wanted getting into this game. And I genuinely think that is my favorite part of this game, is how it deals with melee combat.
Yeah, and like, if you know anything about like sword fighting at all, like, there are like these stances where you have to be on the back edge, but while you're on the back edge, like, say you're defending, like, you fleck and look for, or you'll defend and then move immediately into like an offensive position. And I think this game really captures that kind of like back and forth with swords clashing type of aspects. So it's very cool.
Yeah. One of the other game mechanics that I think is really neat, as you mentioned, is along with some of the hidden information, is flanking. Flanking and the Vim models, the very important model. Sometimes in some scenarios, you get extra points if you kill the opponent's Vim model. And so there's ways that you can like flank and come from your opponent's deployment zone. Or hear me out, what if you're a big giant spider and you rappel from the ceiling and flank behind someone's base and just be like, I'm a big giant spooter.
All right, so moving on.
So
you really like to bring up past memories.
I know. This might have happened recently, listeners. This might have happened recently. So, yeah, it's just, I think that's really cool. There's ways that you can razzle dazzle, and then one of the neat sub factions, the themes of the ninjas that Stephen was playing is they actually say you don't get any hidden information because they're really experts at spying and knowing the things that are unknown. So I think it's the Long Shadow clan who says your opponent has to reveal all of their hidden information. And I love
really
that.
Cool.
It's so freaking cool. It's so cool and very thematic. So
a good example though of why the ninjas are hard to play, because like I don't know how to leverage that yet.
Right.
But
right. Soon.
Soon. Someday. I think personally too, like I guess like, because I have less experience and am newer to the game, like one of the things that keeps me coming back is like, I love that combat. Like the combat is awesome. It's a little complicated at first because there's like a couple primary charts you use to determine damage, and I'm not going to get into that, but I will make our listeners aware that it can, like, your first few combats, like your first few games should literally be just kind of charging at your opponent and seeing how it works, I think, because that's a useful way to like understand the keywords and stuff. So
I agree.
The combat is really cool. I really like the idea of hidden information, and I also really like how they handle activation economy, right? Like one of the biggest things in this game is, we've mentioned this before, but I'm just going to use the like universal term for miniatures games. the action economy, like, so the horde factions, despite not being good at combat, will, as Ben mentioned, like limit your opponent's action economy, right? So they'll make you tired when they charge in, because both models get tired. So you can have like these big elite dudes who are like super good at, you know, battle, and like the demons, for example, the Oni. They're very powerful in combat. They have a ton of health. They're tanks. But if you start to just charge little chaff into them, they can't do as much, right? So it's a very cool system where like you're rewarded for being like a big model, but you're also rewarded for, you know, going wide or wider, and like having more actions, right, to score the points. So very, very cool balance they do in this game. So
Yeah, completely agree.
all right, so let's see how to do these in so after rules are learned, I think I gather games like an hour and a half to 2.
Yeah, I think that's a good expectation.
Yeah, skirmish game, you know, so once you kind of know the rule sets, it takes a little bit more investment. There's a higher level of information you have to come in to a game with to play in an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I think on average, that's like the battle reports are like 2 hours. Tournament games are like, you know, an hour and a half or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
And then before we get into narrative modes, are there any like mistakes that someone starting to play this game that you can identify for new players to like avoid?
That's an interesting question. I think the biggest mistake is if you're an experienced wargamer and you come into this game and you think it should just click, right? It's just, I've played all of these miniature games. You know, I'll be able to learn this easy peasy. I think you're going to be for a more difficult time. Not that the game is impossible to figure out, but it does take, I think, Stephen, you had mentioned it, it does take a little bit of investing. I am convinced, I think that many people who do play it will tell you that it's worth it coming out, right? It's worth the investment. That as you play this game, as you figure out some of the cool synergies and all the other things, you're going to have a great time and find that this is probably one of the neatest miniature games that you can play. But it's going to take a little bit, and that's really okay.
I think it's taken like, so I'm a really great example, right? Like I just started, have no context, and I think you have to just like, so I'm a competitive player at heart, right? I think when I am introduced to a system, my first question is, how do I make this more efficient? And I think with Bushido, if you have that mindset, or if you don't, right? Like if you don't, it's probably easier for you to learn this game, to be honest, because I think with Bushido, you have to be like, I don't know what's going on. I don't have enough foresight or knowledge to be competitive with this game. So I'm just going to ride it out and see what happens, you know? Because some of the combos you think are good, you'll run into a faction that just either neuters them, or they're maybe not that important to the game mechanics. And so I think the best way to approach it, learning this game, is play, you know, like you can do 100 rice games, fine, but like play like just a couple turns and be like, all right, we'll reassess, and you know, because that'll take you like an hour, you know. So play a couple turns, come back, relook at your list, reread, and like maybe read some rules, and then like reevaluate, and then play another hour-long game, right? So or play Ben, because Ben likes to switch factions.
I do like I like to switch factions a bunch.
So you're like, I have no idea what this does anymore. So.
Yep.
But I would reevaluate in general, just like come in with, I think, acknowledging that there's a rules bloat first off will set your expectations really well for this game. You're like, there's a lot of rules here. I am not going to know them all probably anytime soon, right? So I think accepting that, it like allows you to have a much more open mind and fun time when you're playing this game initially.
I completely agree. Yeah.
But yeah, so On that note, too, for those interested, are there, and I know there's an exciting thing coming out soon, but I didn't know if anything else existed. Are there like narrative modes to play this, a narrative mode for this game, or any other ways you can play this game besides like the core rulebook way?
The best way to do some like narrative campaign kind of stuff is with a new thing that's coming out. I think in June. I believe it's coming out in June, which is a narrative rule set where you can play and do the lore stuff and do some campaigns. It's pretty cool. One of the things, as an old head on and off this game, we had asked for a kind of more comprehensive lore primer, and that's finally coming out. And I'm really jazzed about that. So there's some ways to be able to play it, but there's nothing outside of the official, like, at least to my knowledge. I should caveat this, to my knowledge. If you want to have more like lore friendly or campaign stuff, you'll need the campaign book that's coming out in June.
Yeah, it's a great time to get into it because it's on pre-order right now. So yeah. If you're into narrative gaming, it's like going to be available soon. I don't know when it's coming out. I can't actually find a
I'm fairly certain that I heard through the rumorville that it is June-ish. I could be wrong.
Okay. And you can find all your news for this game too on that point in the Discord, because it's run by the company that owns this game. Yeah. They announce things there that it's all in one place too. There's no friggin', I I like MCP a lot. I think the marketing team at AMG isn't exactly the strongest the way they do things. So this is all in one place. You don't have to look anywhere else.
It's all in one place. And there's no paywall, right? There's no paywall to it, which is also kind of cool.
Yeah. And we've covered some of this stuff. So our next section that we have here is to like actually getting started or practical concerns. We have covered a lot of this, so we can even just like check off some of this stuff. But so we've covered this, but I will reiterate, the barrier to entry in terms of rules is high. We've said that the whole episode. It's an investment, but I think, like a lot of games that are kind of rewarding for the investment you put in them, you get a lot out as things start. Like even just like I've played like, I don't know, 3 or 4 games at this point.
Yeah.
And every single game I'm like, oh, wow. Like you realize something pretty profound about how the game works. Like it's not just like a little, oh, wow, kind of like wombo combo. It's like, oh, I fundamentally understand something more about how my faction plays,
Like, oh, wait, that's how that works.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very cool. We talked about this. You can get your rules online. There is a physical rule book that you can order. There's the app. The rule book's really cool and beautiful, actually, which is why I ordered it myself. The new one is smaller than Ben's, but there's great art. It's kind of nice pages. The binding's a little iffy, but like it's a mom and pop shop kind of book, and the campaign book's coming out soon too. So we've kind of covered the practically speaking. You can go to the GCT. They have the whole model line there. The average price of a model is about, it's like 8 to 10 pounds, which is roughly equivalent, I think, to like $9 to $12.
That sounds right.
Roughly
sounds right.
I actually don't know current exchange rates.
I can tell you this, that there are a ton of starter sets that you can get, which come for every major faction except for the Imperial Court, and that one starter set's coming out a little bit later, and I think one more, and the Horse Lords don't have a getting starting set.
There is a 2-player starter set as well.
Yeah,
you can grab.
It's currently sold out right now, but most of the starter sets that come with like tokens and like I think a 50 to 70 rice squad and cards that go with it, they're 32 pounds, which is equivalent to $43.
Okay.
So
you have Google up, don't you?
I do have. I did pre-Google that. Yeah.
Okay, so the 2-player starter set is probably around 70 or 80.
Yeah.
When it's back in stock.
Yep.
So,
and there are theme ones. So if you're like I'm, if you like shape shifting fox spirits, the Inari, there's a theme box for that. That's £52, which is around $70 something. So
yeah. So it's a pretty low barrier to entry, to be honest. And also on that note, before we get into like a local or United States scene, there is quite a bit of TTS involvement in their main Bushido Discord.
Mm-hmm.
They do a worldwide TTS kind of tournament. They run through the Discord. So, and I always see people on there playing games. So you can find. I'm a little intimidated right now because I'm still new, but you can find and ask for starting games on TTS through their Discord. I mean, obviously, we're doing this episode, so you could find and ask for games through us too.
Yeah.
We'll do our best. Well, I'll do my best. If someone asks for a teacher game, I'll be like, well, I don't know yet, but
we can stumble together.
Yeah, someday I will know. So there you go. And then in terms of like the local national scene, Ben turned me on to the fact that Webway Games in near Worcester. Let me look up their exact in Massachusetts. Let me look up their exact. They're in Marlborough, which is about 15 minutes from Worcester, a little bit less. They do have like a regular Bushido events. So if you're in the Northeast, they're semi-regular, I guess, like every few months, probably every quarter, I want to say. They run in-person events out of Webway Games. So there is like a local scene, at least in the Northeast. So, and
to my understanding, it's that community that ran a grand tournament as well. So that's if you're in the Northeast, more specifically, in the New England area, you have a scene. There's a scene that plays. It's a little bit harder in some other places. There are pockets of them, but another common place is at Adepticon. Adepticon every year is a grand tournament. A fair amount of people show up for that as well. So, and they have a great time there. Depending on the
you can start your own.
Yeah, well, and you can start your own. So they have like an open play testing. If you want to become a play tester, you can apply to be a play tester. That's on the website.
Or a community leader,
or a community leader. Like so this, the nice thing about the GCT studios that, like Stephen has said, is a smaller community. They're really responsive. Every time I've had, needed to contact them to get some help. In one way or another, they've been really responsive and quite friendly about that. So I have found that the community has been very kind and open to new players.
Yep, and just a note there too. This is a British company, English company, so I don't know anything about the Bushido scene over there, but I'm guessing it's pretty prominent.
Huge. Yeah. So if you listen to this podcast and travel across the pond quite often, you'll be just fine.
Yep. And we have on here to talk about tournaments and leagues, but I think we've covered that. Tournaments, you bring 2 lists, 200 rice lists to. It's actively supported by GCT still to this day. So it feels a lot, and I've told Ben this, and I'll say this to our listeners too. This studio, this feels like they love this game. You know what I mean? Like everything about the way the company functions feels like they're supporting this game because they love it. They love the community, and they're just there to allow you to have a good time with their game, right? You don't get that sometimes with like bigger corporations, but I just want to say that every experience I've had so far, like involving Bushido and the company and the community, which hasn't been a ton yet, has always been like incredibly supportive, especially towards newer players. Like if you don't know what's going on, you can find someone in that big Discord who will answer your questions for you.
Yeah. They again welcome new people. I've not had an issue yet, and I've been very blessed, by them. So I think it's really cool. Like I said, the website the official GCT website has lots of resources for you. This is a game that they love. The game regularly has erratas. They address problematic characters and or events or things like that. So
we should also note here too, before I ask you this last question about Bushido, they only have one game. It's Bushido right now, but they are releasing a cool Greek based game called Goat Song, which is going to be it's going to be a hex game with kind of like mythical Greek figures, which is also something kind of cool from this company coming out.
Yeah, so if you like that,
if you like Greeks. But the one final thing I want to ask you, Ben, and maybe if you were to talk to, say, someone like Jin,
yeah,
if someone is on the fence about this game, what would you encourage or push them? What would you suggest that would push them to try this? And also, like, what should give them pause?
Yeah, I think what should give them pause is probably simple, just because we've said it so many times, which is the rules bloat is and can be intimidating. Don't let it intimidate you. The game is actively very fun. And my encouragement to anyone who's kind of on the fence, give it the college try. Give it the college try. Play a couple of just either a few opening rounds, or as I did to Steven, or sometimes when I do demo games, is I'm just going to run you through a couple interactions. I'm going to show you what a melee combat looks like. I'm going to show you what a range attack or a spell or some of these other cool things. Download the TTS mod. They have all of the miniatures, everything, even some of the stuff that's not out yet. Stuff that's on pre-order, because it's all accessible on the app and you can see all of it. It's a great way to try the game and just give it the old college try. I find that if your person who you're playing with is a good teacher and doesn't run spiders, you'll have a good time. And
it's not great self-promotion there, Ben.
Right. I say that just to poke at Steven a little bit because, but it is really fun. And there are some really, really neat things that you can do. Obviously, try to look through the factions aesthetically and see what the rule of cool, I think, is usually always the first draw. So if you find something that you think is really cool, run with that, play it, try it, as long as it's not, super complicated. Give it a try.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the things Ben has suggested to do will help, like maybe trying an easier faction on TTS and then buying models a little bit later could be helpful. So
yeah. Whoops.
Oh, what?
Yeah, whoops a daisy.
But I mean, Ben and I've only been playing a little bit. And I'm going to swear here, so Ben, cover your ears. I fucking love this game. I think it's like a ton of fun. I've been telling everyone about it, and I know like there's some like, oh, this is a new shiny thing, but it like scratches an itch I'm not getting from my other miniature games, and I have identified that, and it's doing something different that I really appreciate, right? So check it out. It's a lot of fun. You can talk to us. We're going to have a section in our Discord for Bushido, and there's like 2 things in there, so if you ever want to talk about it, it's there. But the community is kind of small. It's a mom and pop game, and it is a ton of fun, and we hope this episode like helped you at least like pique your interest or whatever, so any last thoughts, Ben?
Just to kind of spoil a little bit, Steve and I are hopeful to, once we get that campaign book in our hands, to try to do something on the Live on One Discord. So if that's something that you're interested in, either doing like a beginners league or just kind of learn the game with us, let us know. We'd love to walk alongside you and do this. We've got a couple of other Live on One members who've expressed some interest. So If you just want to give it,
Reluctantly.
yeah, some reluctantly, some joyously. We'd love for you to try this game out with us, and
Yeah.
we think you'll have a good time.
Yeah, maybe even like a grow league where we start real simple, and move from there. So, yeah, very excited. It's cool to have a platform where I can be like, I love this game, play with me.
Yeah.
But anyways, hope you enjoyed this. As always, our Discord link is going to be below. The Discord link to the Bushido, the main Bushido page will be below, as well as the website. You can email me with any questions or DM me or on Discord. Our email, though, is aliveon1@gmail.com. We usually mention RSMP, so if you're still listening to this and you play MCP, Jin's videos are still linked below. Our affiliate link to Huge Miniatures is below. You can grab like any kind of painting products there. Thanks, Ben, for coming on tonight, even though you're not really a guest at this point. But
Right.
I'm just following the format, all right?
Yeah.
And,
It's fun to be on.
Yeah. And as always, Godspeed, Oni.